I spent the past 2 months, hundreds of hours, transforming the end from this boring rock to an incredible masterpiece. But before I can even start transforming the end, I first need to actually kill the dragon. Come on, just this last tower. Oh my god, it's so close. Alright, this is it. Already, step 1 was done. I spent the next hour or two flying around and getting as many shulker shells and elytras as possible, and then it was time to fly over the void to get back to the main island. Speaking of which, it is about time I made a plan. So I never really plan much of my builds. I find it much more fun to take it one step at a time and figure things out along the way. So this is just a rough idea of what is in my head and will probably end up looking nothing like this. So we now had our rough draft for the build, and I did know that I wanted to get rid of the end island completely, so I made a gunpowder farm for TNT. Alright, it's been a minute, so there should be a bunch of gunpowder down here. Oh yeah, that's a bit more. So now heading back to the end portal. Alright, back in we go. Now it's time to use some of that gunpowder. Yeah, that really did not do much. We're gonna need a lot more TNT. So I spent the next 3 days AFKing and mining sand so that we could have over a shulker box of TNT. I spent ages trying different methods and ways of placing the TNT to use them as effectively as possible, but it barely made a dent. If we wanted to blow up the entire island like this, it would take forever. So I think I had to come up with a completely new idea. And it was gonna need some resources. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna need is some coral fans. Alright, so now we've got those. The next thing we're gonna need is a bunch of redstone. And now what I need to do is make a slime farm. So this is what we need for the slime farm, and now all we need to do is build it. Surprisingly, this didn't actually take too long. All I had to do was find a swamp, clear a bit of forest, and build this big circular platform. Alright, so we've got all the materials we need, and now all we have to do is actually construct this thing. But what actually was I building? This is called a world eater, and it's what people use to make giant holes like this and this, but instead I was using it to destroy the entire end island, or at least that's what it should have done, except that it failed twice, and I had to completely destroy it and rebuild it each time. Alright, this is test number 3. Alright, here's the moment of truth. Please don't break, please don't break, please don't break. Yes! It works! Oh my god, this thing is amazing. It is going to destroy all of this up until it gets to these obsidian pillars. These pillars would stop the machines in their tracks and meant that we had to build multiple different flying machines to work around them. I left the 2 machines to do their thing, and they were working. We just had to build more. Here it goes. And now we can make some serious progress. We have made some truly incredible progress on this. This entire island was like out to here, and now look where it is. Before we can go any further, we need to kill the dragon 19 more times so we unlock all 20 of these, because once we've built something cool here, we're not going to want to fight the dragon then, because it could just destroy everything. Alright, so to respawn the ender dragon, you need to use end crystals, and for each end crystal, we need a bunch of ghast tears. And this was a whole thing. I had to go up to the nether roof and spawn ghast for hours, but that's boring, so let's just skip to the cool bit. Alright, and we now have all the end crystals we need, and we can now head to the end and fight the dragon a bunch. This is 1 of 19, here we go. Alright, come here, just a couple more hits. There we go. That makes this the final dragon fight. So the fly around now, there should be all of these gateways now filled. Oh wow, that looks awesome. Alright, now it's time to get rid of the rest of this land. And it's gonna take a while, so let's do a time lapse. time, just get this last bit here. It was done. Not a single block of endstone in sight. This entire process had taken me over a month, and now that it was time to build, this design seemed pretty lame. So I completely redesigned it. I had already put in a ton of time and effort into this, so I wanted to make it great. I even started to plan. I made a Google Doc with different diagrams I would need. I even made a test world where I experimented with different designs. But I'm gonna need a lot of different things to this build, so it's time to do some resource collecting. Alright, so I'm just gonna take this. I'm building a quick beacon here. Haste 2. Oh yeah, that's good. So I'm just gonna fill up a couple shulker boxes of stone and dirt here. Alright, so we now have quite a bit of stone here, and this should be enough to at least get me started. Now what I need to do is find a bunch of quartz. Alright, we're about halfway there now, and that's all the quartz that we need. So we already have a bunch of deep slate here, but all we need to do now is just convert this into some deep slate tiles. So now we can finally start building. First, I actually need to go below, using some walls to make this bit pointy, and then some stairs here, continuing up here like this, and this is what it should look like. So now we just have to repeat this whole thing 19 more times. Alright, so this is the last end gateway I need to do. And with that, all of these are now done. But what I want to do is make like a little lid to each one that goes on top. We're starting off with a bit of iron on each one, just like this. Then we can put some dirt, put them here, pop some slabs and some stairs, and one last slab to round it off. And then to give it a little bit of a pop, we're gonna add some glowstone down here to make it kind of glow from the middle like this. So I had to repeat what I did before and build this 19 more times, but all the end gateways still felt very disconnected. So I built a giant circle and replaced it all with deep slate slabs. And now this was looking amazing. So now it was time to move on to the next step, these giant chains connecting the pillars to the gateways, and this would need a lot of resources. I AFK'd at my farm for iron and traded with villagers to get quartz. This has taken me a long time, and it has just been a rinse and repeat process of go to the villages and trade iron, and then taking these emeralds over here and buying as much quartz as we can. I have done this to get over 2,000 blocks of quartz, as well as 4,000 blocks of iron. And so now we have all that, I think we're ready to actually get building. So I first made a guide out of dirt that I could then use to start building the chains. We're now about halfway done. I'm really liking the effect of these. All these chains are gonna make it just feel a lot bigger. The one thing that's difficult is not only do we have to build the chains on an angle like this, but it also has to continually go down, which makes it pretty hard to build some of these. But we're making it work, so let's keep going. And after removing all the dirt scaffolding, this is what we had. We had now completed the outer ring and the giant chains. Now, the next step, the floating island. And just like the chains, I used dirt to lay out the top circle, then make a skeleton for the rock section underneath. So we had a layout, but now we needed materials to fill it in. So I set up the beacon and did a little mining. And for deep slate, I strip mined and got a couple diamonds along the way. Now we had everything we needed. So I got building. Starting with the deep slate, then cobblestone, and after that, the stone. So now all we gotta do is fill this in. Alright, so we filled in this whole area with dirt now, except for this little bit here. That's because I want to make this a little lake. So for this, we're gonna need a lot more resources than we already have. So we'll grab some of this sand and some gravel. And we might as well take a little bit of clay here while we're at it. So now we can start making this look like the bottom of the lake. Like gravel here, and maybe a little bit of sand over here. Alright, now it's time to put some water in this thing. With some water and a little seagrass, this looked great. And it meant we could have this little waterfall off the edge. The next step was to add the trees to this island. All right, so first we need to lay out where these trees are gonna go. Going up quite a fair bit, now coming in with the leaves. These are alright, but to be honest, I'm not really loving these. I'm gonna see what just normal trees look like. Yeah, looking at both of these side by side, I almost prefer these more. So yeah, I'm just gonna plant a bunch of these instead. So I'm gonna make the most here, waiting for these to grow, and I'm gonna get working, replacing this cobblestone border here with actual grass. Right, so I've finished the little edge here all the way around. Trees still are not grown, so I think I'm gonna add some more detail. I'm just gonna farm a couple glowberries here, so now I can go around and add these to the bottom. Once these grow and have the glowberries on them, I think it'll look really cool. Alright, so pretty much most of the trees have grown now, and I'm gonna start bone mealing the ground here a bit. Oh yeah, the grass has made that like 10 times better. So now there's just a couple of the little details I need to do. I added shroom lights to the trees, some fallen flowers, trapdoors for detail, more flowers, buttons as little pebbles, and I made some ruins around the portal, which gave me an idea. This outer ring was really thin, so if I put some of this textured stone blocks on it, it should look a lot better. I also added these little bits of quartz because I felt like it was still missing a little something, and now this looks really cool. It feels like it kind of finally makes a bit more sense that this outer ring holds all of this up, but it's still missing something. I still felt like the build needed more, something to take it to the next level. Light. This build was so dark, adding light would make it like a galaxy in space. So to light up the build, I needed end rods. And for that, we needed two things, chorus fruit and blaze rods. All right, so I'm gonna go through here, collect a couple of these bits here so that I can farm these back home. And now these should just grow, right? And I need to find a blaze spawner. Here's the nether fortress. Here's a spawner. I spent the next 2 hours expanding this platform and fighting blaze. So we now have a lot of blaze rods. And now these have all grown up. And now smelting all of this to get popped chorus fruit. And now we can craft these together to get end rods. So let's finish this thing. After adding all these lights, wow, this is making such a difference. It's actually insane. And some last finishing touches. 2 months of work was done. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing because these videos are only going to get better.